Hello everyone, and I'm happy to be here again on the call today and have time to show you my SharePoint form builder in detail. Last month, I did already 2 presentations at the community call, and maybe some of you already know me, but for everyone who did not attend, I want to introduce myself before I start my presentation. As you already know, my name is Marc André Schröder-Zhou, and I live in Germany. Here on the slide, you can see some basic facts about my work experience. I won't repeat everything. If you want to know about me, stop the video, read all the details on the slide. I'm open for networking. Just scan the QR code and get in touch with me. Okay, that's all about me. Let me clarify the main question first. What is the purpose of the SharePoint Form Builder app? Or what can I do with it? In summary, the app uses SharePoint list information to determine the fields and the settings of the fields, like the data type and some other settings. The app then uses a SharePoint view to detect the field order on the final data form. That's all. Sounds boring? No, the app can do more than just build a data input form. The app adds some more functionality to the end form, and as you will see soon. As I explained, the app is able to generate a data form based on the SharePoint list information. Additionally, the app has some features to enrich the simple data form. The app supports cross-site references. This means that the source list of the app can be located in any SharePoint site. The app supports content types. If you have enabled content types in the list, the app can create an item based on the desired content type. Besides this, there is an app property setting to enable up to 3 download areas for attachments. And you can limit the allowed file types for upload and set up a custom error message, which shows if the user tries to upload a forbidden file type. You can add custom validation rules and messages for each form field. In case the list contains lookup fields, all additional columns will be used to generate the choice item in the drop-down list, not just a single data field like in SharePoint default forms. This means that not only the main field lookup value is displayed. You see an example here on the slide, on the right side. I have selected 2 additional fields for the lookup field. You see it here, number 1. These additional 2 fields will be available in the SharePoint list, but the SharePoint default form shows only the main field as display value within the drop-down selection list. And in my case, you see I show all the fields that I have selected here for my lookup field. Sometimes you have an existing global choice data available via a REST endpoint. You can use this endpoint and load your choice items with a dynamic filter. I have more detail about this feature on a separate slide. Then printout functionality. For the end user, it is possible to print out the form data effortlessly. And as a side note, it is possible to enable a confirmation mail. This confirmation mail is sent to the user after the user has submitted the form data. And additionally, there's a built-in feature that allows the user to visit the form very easily. So how does it work in detail? Allow me to explain a little more in detail. As I explained, to determine the needed form controls, the app reads the SharePoint list information, and especially the field and schema information. Based on this information, or on this data, it is possible to determine the field type and all other specific field settings. For example, I can recognize whether the field is required or not. I use a field description to generate an information icon for it. Then I use a view to determine the desired order of the form controls. Sometimes I have received the question, why do you use a view? You could also define the desired field and order within the web part property. Yes, I know this is absolutely true and possible, but in reality, the user creates most of the time a view to see all the specific form data at once. So in most cases, such a form data view already exists, and a view can be used multiple times. In case the form is added to different pages, besides this, with a centrally managed view, it is possible to change the view, and all forms will be updated automatically because they use all the changed view. And as I already mentioned, the app supports content types in a list. So the user can create a SharePoint list item for a given content type. The app supports almost all data fields. Only some specific column types are not supported. Here on the slide, you see all supported types. On the right, the screenshot shows the form control output for the different field types. And as you can see, the control types follow the field data type. Also, additional field settings are respected and used. For example, if the field is required or the minimum and maximum range for number fields. So in SharePoint lists, it is possible to have a lookup field, you know it. Normally, the lookup field reads data from another SharePoint list, but sometimes you have existing data available via a REST endpoint. To include this external data, it is possible to configure a REST endpoint for a field within the web part properties. It is possible to define the necessary settings. You can set up a value and a key field. The value is used as a display field and the available choices. The optional key field can be used to save an internal technical key reference. So I have given an example here, but I have also a live example later, then you can see it in action. Behind the built-in required field rules, it is possible to define custom validation rules for fields. There are some built-in validation rules, like for phone numbers and zip codes, that you can use directly. Furthermore, you can apply your own regex to do more complex validation logic. For each validation, it is possible to define a custom validation message. On this slide, you can see a more technical overview of the Form Builder app. The web part class reads information about the selected SharePoint list in view. The schema information for each field will be extended with additional field settings defined in the web part properties. If the form is available regarding the defined published time range, then the rendering process starts to output the fields. Otherwise, only a message is rendered to the user with the information that the form is currently not available. So, demo time. After I have explained the internal implementation, I would like to demonstrate how the app can be used in SharePoint. I have prepared some demo pages to show the functionality in action. So, go to my demo page. Here, the first page shows a typical input form for some personal data. As you can see, I have got the typical input fields on the form. I have used different field types because the form contains different form controls. I also open the list that I use for the form. This is this list, and I open the list settings. Unfortunately, everything is in German, but I think you can a little bit understand because the UI is always the same. So you see I have here some column fields with different data types. So now I will show you the defined view which is used to build the form. For this, I have created a view called form view here at the end, form view. This is the view that I'm using for the form. And I will bring both screens besides together. So then you can compare. You see this is the order of the fields in the view, and this is the ordering of the form controls. And the form app uses the ordering from these fields here to render output or render the controls on the form. And you see after the comments, its end, form is ending here, and here you see the available or additional attachments fields that I can apply to each form. So I will bring it back here. One moment. So now I will enter some test data. Started with entering some test data here, and I also explained that this column here is a choice field in the Microsoft list, and of course we have all the items from the list here also to where I can choose from. And I have a salary field, this is a currency field in the SharePoint list, and an email mail. So the email mail, as I said, I have applied a custom rule here with a custom error message, so I have to apply here or to enter a valid email address. And here is my extended lookup field. You see I have all the additional information also in this drop down. And here a single line of multi-line text field is rendered as a multi-line text field in my app also. And then I have here two attachment fields, and you can also set some rules on the attachment fields, because here I can only choose PDFs and PNGs. This message is here only allowed file types is PNG and PNG, and the file is not accepted here. So I have to use a valid file, and in my case I have I think allowed PDFs, and you see the PDF is here accepted now. And I have also here a printout button. The printout button is actually disabled at the moment, and it will be enabled after I have submitted the data. So I try it here again, and now I have submitted my data and I received a message, thanks for your data. And also this message here can be configured in the webpack properties, and now the printout button is enabled and I can print out all my information. So the user can use this. So, and then I have another example, because I will not go too deep in the code because it's very complex, but I will show you another example here. In this example, I have used a content type and a REST endpoint to receive information from a REST endpoint. And this is this field here, the contact name. The contact name here, it's in the SharePoint list field, a single line of text field, but it's here rendered as a drop-down list field. And to demonstrate the functionality, I open the network console, and now I type a letter here. And you see here, it's a REST endpoint is called. And I received some data. And now I can choose the data from the REST endpoint here in the list. Well, it's not from the REST endpoint, it is an autofill. Here we have the data. So then I put some test data again here, and hopefully I'm stay in the conference call here. And I have a level field here. It's also a list choice and the description field. And then I submit the data also. And the data are submitted, and I go to the list. This is a list. And the special thing is here I have used the content type. It's the content type column here. And you see this is a REST endpoint. This is a display field from the REST endpoint value, and this one is a technical field. So you can have a technical field to reference the data from the REST endpoint later. So then at last I will open the configuration of the web part to show some settings. Because as I said, you can use site from any SharePoint site. So you can search here from another SharePoint site for another SharePoint site, and you can select the SharePoint site, and then the lists that are located in the SharePoint site will be rendered here in this choose list here. Here can you choose a list for the form, and I show the list name and also in the brackets the number of items in the list, so you can find the list very easily. Sometimes you have the same list with similar names, and then you can decide which list you need. Then this one is to choose the list view form for the form, because when I switch it here, then you see also the controls are switching regarding the view that I have selected. And here you can select the content type. As I said, in this case, I have here no content types in the list. And here I have the opportunity to set a validation rule on all the fields. For example, I set an email validation rule on the email field, and I can use here the built-in rule. It's called email. Or I can also put a regex expression here, and I can define a custom error message for each validation. And I can also set a default word. And this one is to set up lookups for a REST endpoint. In this case, I have no lookup set here. And then I have here the possibility to add some text in front of the form. This one here, please enter your data. This one here. And this text is used in the email confirmation. For the email confirmation, you can also put some body text, and here you can define the allowed file types, PDF and PNG, for the attachment fields here, and you can set up to 3 attachment fields. So, or you use no attachment field. And you can also enable an email so that the form data are also sent to the user. And you can also define the BCC email address so that all emails goes also to this email address, to the BCC email address. And you can set up a start date for the form. For example, I go to the future, and then only a picture is rendered. And you can also define some custom messages because the form is not available in the moment. So regarding the time, I go back to my slides, and I have also a little roadmap. On my current roadmap for the app, I have the following points. I want to extend the app so that the user can apply custom validation scripts with dependencies. This feature will allow the user to apply rules such as if field A contains data, then field B becomes required. Then I want to enable the user to edit existing form data within the form. And I have to migrate the existing code to the async await approach because I started with developing this app for a few years, so the code base sometimes is not using the await async mechanisms. Okay, last slide here for today that I want to share. I'm going to publish this app to the PNP repository soon. Supporting me and helping is very appreciated. Contributors are welcome to support me with the app. If you are new to the PNP community, you can start and support me with additional languages. At the moment, the app contains localized text for English and German only. So many thanks, and sorry for the interruption. Back to Gary, and auf Wiedersehen.